This homework solution, I really like it. It's a lot of functionalities. You run Ruby to do.rb, and you see that you can do. There are a lot of menu options here. What do you want to do next? You can do listing all items, done items, undone, add more item, remove item, complete item, replace item, find item, and it looks like amazing creativity there. So let's just watch and just think about, okay, what's the interface is doing, right? Can we find a bug from this? Clearly, she just added. It's showing how to add the task. Notice that we're trying to improve the user interface and moving the index to the end. And it uses a very clear, done or not done, right? Maybe we can make it better by number 1, 2, 3, 4, they're all aligned like this, and it's very easy to see. This is very good. It's a little confusing. Maybe I want to buy 10 cars. No one's going to be that confused, right? So it's nice now, it's easy to know what item you want to remove, right? I remove number 10, and etc. And of course, the number 11 becomes 10, so it's a bit interesting. So think about completing. Sometimes we want to complete a bunch of things, so I thought this is interesting. Complete only, right? Wow. So in Gui's case, you want to just complete one case, so then just complete -1. What about complete, more than one, right? So this one more, we'll just show that we complete one more item. So let's say I want to complete multiple items. I'm just trying to understand how the software that was written to work. And so what items you want to complete? Just type 3, which is buy more houses, okay, 5, 8, and then okay. It's up to us how we design the flow, but that's how we designed it. So then she is running out of example, right? So then now she add, more tasks. This screencast is 5 minutes, and I say don't plan, just do it. Of course, if you want to plan, let's say if I'm a teacher, I want to show like, hey, this is an outcome of what you should build. Maybe I only spend like 1 minute, and then I plan it very well. We have a lot more tasks. But in this case, we all can just follow the flow. What did she just do? Complete -A, which is complete everything. So that's interesting. And there's also replacing. So let's say, that is quite interesting. Are you replacing every single buy and sell word? All right. So for example, if I do everything like coding and then later I've learned to code and I just replace the word with code with cook, then I finished a cooking class instead of a coding class. In real life, we don't really need that feature, do we? Replace boyfriend, like let's say Adam with now, Brendan. And I make a list out, to go on a date with my boyfriend, but I changed my boyfriend's name, so I need to update the whole list. Would you use it for that purpose? No. Isn't it cool? So maybe finding like any task with car, I think that is a cool one. If you build a to-do application, this is something that's called is searching for tasks to do, right? You can also call it like tagging. You tag like right? At work, it means all the tasks related to work. Maybe at personal, it's related to your personal things. You have a big to-do task. You want to filter that. Because if we only just want to see like new incomplete, undone, incomplete tasks, there are a lot of them. So cool, right? Can we give a round of applause for Lady Bird? Alright. So let's talk a little bit about planning what to do for the app. What do you like about what we see here? And let's talk about some of the things that we like about this to-do app. Anyone? For example, I say I really like the find feature. I thought that if I just type the word car, I can see all tasks related to car. anything that we say we like?
With the interface, there's an improvement in Xing the ones that are completed.
Yeah, that, you like the square. It looks like a very simple. It looks more like a notebook now, right? You check, and I purposely made it really ugly last time, saying it's one done, undone, right? So this is how you improve it with the square, the space inside. So open bracket, space, and close bracket. So now it looks very neat, and it gives a happier feeling when you actually finish something. Great. Any other things that you like? Food? You better try.
I think we should add the variety of the stuff.
Priority?
Priority.
So that's an idea for improvement. So we have right now the numbers are just like anything, right? So you're saying maybe we could support priority. So how do people normally do that? Maybe they can just allow moving the items, right? So maybe in your app, if you build a to-do app, you can use your mouse or finger, you actually can just tap on any item and you drag it to the top or bottom, right? So if it's command line app, then maybe you can say prioritize, and then you enter the number 8 and it just go to the top, right? If you go to KTV, have you been to KTV where friends and you have selected like 20 songs? And then your song is like number 21, and you just want to sing this song before you go home, and if you wait for 21 songs. So obviously you want to prioritize this song, and there's an option there, move it to the top. Most people don't know that option, so you just go there and tap on it and just pretend you don't know anything. There's another option, it's called shuffling, right? So you have a list. Shuffling, like in karaoke, there's a mode that just mix it up to make it more fair. And here in this list, maybe you feel like, what do I want to do next? All of them are important. If they're not important, I'm not gonna put them down into my to-do app. So then you're like, but what do I want to do first? Sell meat now. So then you hit the shuffle, and then all the items just get changed. And in Ruby, the array has an array.shuffle. So your shuffle item method becomes very simple, right? So we have implemented an add item, right? And remove item, and you see up here, you can start doing more things like complete more items and stuff. But you have an idea now how to improve your app in terms of features, right? Let's look at the code here for me to encourage you guys to do more when needed. So I'm going to open Grease. It's quite similar to, so Ali, I looked at yours as well, but it will be, the remove feature will be similar, okay? So hopefully this is fine. We just look at Grease case. So by now, let's start thinking about where to put, certain code, right? If the code is to deal with done or not done item, it should be an item.rb. Okay, so you see that there are two ways, but in this case, you rename it to data.txt. You only need it can be anything. So to do .data, in this case, we change the representation to this. It's really up to you. This is a nice way to do it as well. And if you change that, then the logic in your item.rb is slightly different. To check whether it's done or not, right, is now this. And to get the title from the to-do app is from the 4th characters, not like the 3rd character like our other app, right?
Yeah.
So it's really up to you. So in this case, change it like that. And she add a few more things. Like if you want to replace words in an item, it's in item. Just make changes within itself. Okay. Now another thing that that I suggested and we did very well is that if you want to make changes to a list, let's add more methods into list.rb to take care of the content in this list. It makes more sense that way, Okay? So the list takes care of the items inside it. To-do.rb takes care of printing things out, handling commands. Right? Let's look at list.rb and see what we have done. In the past, we implemented undone items and done items. You see, the power of Ruby is that it encourages writing cool codes like this. It can even be shorter when you're more advanced, but it's okay. This is like just perfect to read, right? I have an array, I have a select method, and this is a Boolean method, true, false. And I already remember there's done and not done in here. So last time we know we can do done items, undone item. Then why not add item, remove item here, right? I purposely in the last lecture showed you that, hey, let's add item in to-do.rb because that's the first place we want to put it. It's in the to-do file, we're working there. But when your application gets better, right, one of the ways for you to do is move the logic to list. Okay, so when you add item, let's look at adding item. The logic now is in here. This is how you add a new item based on the new format that we decided. So it's nice, it's also clear. Maybe add a comment here, square bracket means not done, but it's clear enough that I have a new item created and I append it to my internal items variable. The cool thing here is remove item. If you just don't think about printing out the screen, don't think about showing the user. Just think, I have a list, right? If I remove item number 5, what does it mean? So then, items done, delete add. There's a nice method. Delete add is another array method, right? So the list has an array in it, and the list is tell array what to do. The list is the interface with the to-do.rb file. So similarly, now if you read, who can improve this line of code from line 25 to 32? Technically, the list should not even need to know that there's all this X stuff. Item can take care of it. So imagine, here's how we can improve it. What are you checking here? Status, right? So are you asking not done? Right? So let's not repeat ourselves. So later, if you change the logic over here, if you change this logic, everything still works. If you change this to maybe this to this bracket, you don't have to change it anywhere else. That's the idea, right? So that's when it's done up there, and then if it's done, then what if it's not done? In this case, what are we doing here? We is creating a new item, new done item. What are you doing with the old one?
Changing it.
Do you remove it?
I don't remove, I just copy a new one and
Oh, yes. And she replaces it. You see here? So she get to create a new item and then she assigns it back to the index. So I say complete item number 5. She's actually going in there and create a new item and then change it. That's one way. Another way is just say, hey item, can you change yourself from done to not done? Let's try doing that. And in that case, I just need to say, for example, there's a method called say mark as done. And in Ruby, you can even be expressive and say exclamation mark because I'm changing inside me, right? It's like I'm changing, right? Exclamation mark. And if you run this, what happens? It will complain there's no such method. So then maybe you can have as a mark as done method. And in this case now you can say, if you have your text, remember the text is in the data here file. What is the character you want to change? The first or the second or the third? You just need to change this to an X because you're marking it as done. In your, if we use the representation of an original type, which is, let's say, by milk, this is not done, and this is, finished by, I don't know, bread, and this by bread is done. If you use this method, right, then what do? You change this to a plus. They are all the same. So it's just your preference here. So we all like this look a lot more interesting, right? And it's clear. What is a plus and a minus, right? That's not very clear. So if we choose to do it this way, then this is how you mark as done, right? So basically you can even explain, this is how you explain to yourself 10 years later when you look at the code. Or explain to a new person that you pay to improve your app. Hey, make money with this app. So then you have to pay them salary. So you can just say change this to this, right? So it's very clear, at the beginning of the title or something, right? Before the title. So that's how you add a comment and that's how you separate the responsibility, right, into the item file. You ask, oh wait, is it good within the item only? It is. So I don't have to do anything else. Then I can just mark it as done. Any question there?
So the logic here is to try to keep the method as concise as possible.
It's also communication, yes, and you don't repeat yourself. DRY.
Sorry.
Yeah, DRY, don't repeat yourself, is part of Ruby philosophy. So when you see that, oh, I'm doing this status equal square bracket x close square bracket in a string, I write that everywhere, it's ugly. Because that logic is that what if I change the representation of a to-do item? So the code, even though you have to go to two places to see the code, in this case you always have to go to two places anyway. Now, this is my suggestion of making it better, right? Of course, sometimes you're like, if it's already done, I can still mark it as done. If you want to be super lazy, you can do that too, right? But I like this clear logic. If it's not done, I mark it done. Okay? Even though this done function is quite safe, it's just changing that character. Okay? Sometimes you might want to write a program that just crashes if you try to mark like a done item is done because you think that should never happen. Right? And then you can actually raise an error. But we don't do that yet. Okay, so that's complete item. So keywords items, can we guess what it does? There's keyword in an item, here's task. Are you trying to search something?
Yes,
So key here is like, let's say if you want to find the word car or something else, right? So here, can someone explain what is Kui doing with this method?
I think she's looking at, she's looking through the title for whatever keyword that is given.
She's checking the title of every single item that she has and return a list of items that match the keyword. And you see there's an effort to name it in a way that when you say list.keyword items, you can guess that she's returning a list of items, right? Because she's using the same convention here. Undone items, done items, keyword items. So it kind of makes sense, right? And then therefore, when you look at it, it helps you write clean code and you think, okay, then I also do items.select, right? And what do I want to select? Then it's the responsibility of the item itself. Then you go and implement this keyword question mark. So I encourage you to, when you write code, you can just write keyword question mark or find or like check if, check if has word, whatever name you want. It's very clear. And just have it there. If you want to be extra sure, run the code. It will complain undefined local variable, undefined method keyword question mark. And you're like, no problem. I go into item.rb and I write that method. So what does she do here? An item, you can check keyword, item dot keyword question mark with a word. So let's say car or cell. What is it doing? Technically, you don't need the word split. You can just say if a title is a string, right? Can include another string. Yeah, so it's a bigger string, right? So what you're doing here is that this is a string. Let's say this is a string, right? Maybe this is a strong string. If you do split, this is what you get. This is a strong string, okay? So what Quiz is doing here, it will check this array of words. Does it contain the key? For example, now include question mark, then the word this. This will return true. Okay? However, if it's the like that, like T or tie, right? This will return false. So you cannot search part of a word. So and I'm like, okay, maybe that's not necessary. You're just converting. Split is a powerful function. You can split by any character, like a space or anything. But if you don't put anything in it, it will split by space. Then you get words. Remember when you read data, you have dot lines. It's like splitting by line separation, right? Separator. In this case, split give you words. So no need, because when now you use include question mark, now it's checking the string. It's not checking the array. Both of them have the include method.
So if you run include on THI, it will return true, right?
In this case now it will support THI because what it's doing is I'll take this string and then I say include THI. And this will return true, whereas this return false. Depending on your feature. If your feature is like, it's really I only want to go by word, then it makes sense. And that's why it's called keyword, right? So I think your design is good. If you just say search, if the word is Mercedes, and then I really don't know how to spell the word, so I say find any task that has the word MER, and then it finds it. I can't type the word Mercedes. That's just like very complicated. So that's the idea. Is you design your app. Okay. So very quickly here, we can sort of understand. So I love how there's a mixture of Vietnamese and English here. I love how your submission, Ellie, is you change everything to Vietnamese. But instead of display, she call it Hiển thị. So it's cool. It's very cute. Ruby was invented in Japan, even before Java. But and you can guess why. They make it underscore so it reads like it's most it reads more like English. In some other programming languages, you see capital letter. That's called camel case. It's like a camel hump, right? And it's kind of hard to be in the English world. First sort of English is first speaking language. They use that. But then Japan kind of just help encourage this kind of underscore convention. This is called snake case. It looks like a snake, but it's a lot easier to read. So we do like this a lot. So definitely use that, right, and take advantage of writing pretty interesting sentences like this. Of course, don't make a typo, and then
Love the comment.
we just crash. All right. So what we're doing here, replace all, cannot save. Okay. So you are interesting here. This is actually pretty cool. You see how Ruby is like this line. If you do it in a different language, it takes like maybe 10 lines. Or if you're new to Ruby, it may take like 10 lines to write. Let's see what it's trying to do here. It's in the list, and she's trying to replace. This feature first. Do we understand this feature? She's like, someone's gonna look at my playlist. I have my boyfriend's name in here, in like 5 items, right? I don't want that person to see my boyfriend's name. Replace all the words that say Adam and turn it into outside or something like that, right? So that's what she's trying to do. So items, and now .map. Map is, if you have an array, you call .map, you get another array. and that array has the same number as this original array. So okay, so I have 10 items I'm mapping, and in each item, the inside map, if it's one line, okay, so she actually has 2 lines here. So when you have 2 lines, don't use curly braces because it looks really confusing. Use do instead, okay? Do, and it's the same, okay? And it changes to end. Are we clear on that? And then after end, I tend to just add another space here. It's easy to read. Now with map, the last statement in that map is what you return. And all the local variables in here get thrown out. You don't need them. So definitely don't do this when you say item up here and then do item in line 37 and then line 39 you have item equals. You're not changing the list, you're mapping to a different one. And that's okay. So I have to do it like that. Just return. You can put blah here and it just throw out the word blah. Right? You're just returning a new item. Is that okay? And what you're trying to do here is items, okay, so we have to look at the replace word method. Look into the title and then return a string. Okay? Of course, you can merge line 39 and 34 together by putting item does replace word inside this. Right? So, okay, here's a temporary variable. And I'm going to very quickly look at replace word. Okay, she's returning a string here. No problem. She's just splitting a string. And again, please use do and. Don't use this curly braces. Curly means only one statement in one line, right? So one line, you also return that. You see how curly is really cool for all of this? Why use map do, right? Why use select do end when you can just do that? But when you start getting complicated, do end. Okay, I like this, right? Now, however, items map will just return this become new items. Alright? So what we decided that hey, but the list just created a new map, right? A new list of items, but that's not my whole list. I can only choose one. So she decided to throw away the original value of items, and then she just said new items is items. So now items is the one. And sometimes people can just say, hey, maybe it's clear enough that I can just do this. Right? It's the same thing. You just assign it to a variable and then you just, down here, you just put it back to it. So this variable, new items, is the same, right? So I'm like, okay, I'll just cut it short. Okay? So, however, what are we trying to do here? Go into each item and then change that item if possible. And then I get a new list. Okay. So let's see your question. Cannot save. So what are you trying to achieve?
At first, I didn't think about add item. I can think to save it into a global variable. After that, I think to the new items. Dot new item, add new item equal to add to new item. Add item equal to new item. Yes, after that, I think again. How about I want to receive the own value?
So in this case, you lost them.
Yes.
So if you want to receive every time you want to have a backup, right? No problem. In this case, I'm going to create a method in list. I'm going to call this method update items, okay? And then I call this new items. So why do I create a new method? So I don't have to repeat myself. I update my items sometimes in many places. So in here, I will do, hey, items is new items, okay? New items. But I add one more thing. I call backup items equals to items. Okay? So I have a backup. Always have a backup. And then, instead of doing items equal, you never set it directly anymore. You can call this method yourself. You call update items. Right? Sometimes you feel like maybe this is very hard to read. Look at that. It's really hard to read. You put the parentheses down here. very hard to read. So I'm gonna just do new items here, and of course I don't need instance variables. And then I say update items, new items. Okay. Sometimes you may want to call it something else. I want to tell you this is different from this. This is just a argument that I use in this function. Alright, so I just call this maybe modified or updated items, right? Items. Of course, you can use the old way. This is just to emphasize that I only have this variable in this block. Okay, so that's how I update my items. And I have a backup. And if you want to show this backup out to the world, how do you do it? You could do an attribute reader again, right? This attribute reader, you can say backup items. But maybe you don't have to show to the world. Maybe you can just say cancel, revert. The word is revert. So there's an update items here. What's the word? Roll back. Yeah? When you say, I just, maybe the person who looked at my to-do list has left. Now I can restore my boyfriend's name in the list, right? So in this case, you could call it anything restore items, maybe. Do you need an argument? You need an argument? No, you just set items to be backup items. Right? However, you're like, whoa, if my item is now backup item, then what is my backup items? Then you're like, okay, maybe now you say, well, my new item is like this, and now my backup item will be my temporary item. Okay, your brain will hurt a little bit with this, right? Right? I have this something restore. This is like not working. Suddenly my playlist is broken, right? I am restoring. So you have a restore command outside. I don't know, what's the better name? Rollback, restore. But yeah, so let's say, hey, okay, great. Let's backup items. But I cannot say backups items equals items. Because then I lose my backup. So I have to start somewhere else, go photocopy that, and then I say, hey, no, items, you can get the old values. And I say, oh, by the way, backup items, now you can get the photocopy value. We good there? And of course, Ruby, okay, you don't have to do that. But Ruby is even as interesting as this. You can say items and backup items, let's swap places. I'm just showing you to just say the power of expressive Ruby. And if you write like this, it works the same way. Because on the left you have items and backup items. On the right you have backup items and items. So what is Ruby trying to do? It's like, okay, let's take these are two arrays on two sides. I take backup items and I give it to items, and I take items and I give it to backup items. This is just, it's like nice, clever. Sometimes writing clever code is not good because the next person who works with you might hate you. What is this thing, right? But sometimes it makes you have more fun doing it. And sometimes good programmers, when they read that, they may appreciate that. Oh, man, this guy is cool. He's teaching me new things. All right. You good there? Okay, so with this homework, I'm trying to see if I have any more questions I can answer. Okay? About this, using this as an example. You guys have questions? No? Were you curious about, look at this big method. You can make it simpler if you want. I encourage you, there's a thing called a case statement, a switch case statement in any language. Instead of if else everywhere, you can just do, in this case, right? Switch input, and then you say case, let's say all, then you do something, and then case done, then you do something. So that's a different syntax. You can just look it up. But if else, there's nothing wrong with that. Okay? When it gets a little long, it can be pretty hard to see. Okay? Now, where are we? We're in a todo.rb file. So mostly handling input, output. But when you're touching the list, see if you can move that logic to list.rb. And that's what we did quite well, right? And the prompt, look, notice that we saw that, this input thing is it's a bit complicated, so she moved it to a different method. The start prompt thing is just irresponsible. This is like your reception person. You pay that person to be there from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. It's always there. Someone come, they can always get questions, right? This loop do is, hey, I give you information, what do you want? Take the input, right? So that is technically, right, there is this only a slight change here, is that the first time you're getting the input, you just give a different prompt. From then on, it's all the second prompt. So that's the idea. All of this makes sense, right? And of course, I think your input, get input medium, it can also just do the chomp inside, up to you. But, you probably, you can even, I see, this is good. Because breaking out of the loop, you have to write the word break inside this loop too. You cannot put the word break inside get input. So this is how we deal with that challenge, right? I still have to check the input first. The exceptional case. This exception case in exit, you break. Cool? Alright, let's improve this. I'm going to show you all how to take this app and make it more interesting. You have many features, keep them. You don't have many features yet, then just, you feel free to add them. Okay? And the final half of the final half an hour, I think we can even take it to the web. Okay? Let's take a 3 minutes break.